What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Busy Sticks, the Geek versus all video game talk show. I'm Josiah Leroy, with me, as always, Mr. John Fick. John, we had a crazy episode last week, our return episode. We talked about 2023. Today, it's all about 2024.
What a return episode. What a way to get back to this show that we love doing, talking about video games every year. What a way to get back into form than to rank our top 10s of the year. That was a fun episode. It was 2.5 hours, 2 hours, 40 minutes like we talked about, but it was such a blast just sitting there talking about our list and like the anticipation to see what ends up being the Geekiverse's game of the year, which I'm not going to spoil. Go watch the episode or just go on our Instagram account, but it's up.
It's true, and you know what? It was right-sized in my opinion. It was the return of Rashawn. We had not recorded in a long time. It was to celebrate a heavy year. 2023 is arguably the greatest year in video games with all the heavy releases that came out. So for us to give all the time that we needed to a lot of those titles up made sense. But we're here back on kind of a more regular, if you will, Busy Sticks. We're going to go through a few updates, not so much news heavy. We will talk next week. We have episodes that we're going to cover a brand new Geekiverse fantasy draft. We'll tell you the results of what happened in 2023 on that one. We're also going to talk about the Xbox Direct, Xbox Developer Direct, where I think we're going to get some pretty good news on some of the projects we already know about, but now we're going to put those pieces into the puzzle and see where it goes for the rest of this year. So that could be awesome. But before we get to what our most anticipated games for 2024 are, before we talk about what's in our system, what's about to be in our system, John? What are we drinking tonight?
I miss this. I love this segment. I love talking beer with you. I love talking video games and Marvel and all the stuff that we do all the time. But like, it's fun to talk beer with you too.
I agree.
I've got a cool one. I've got a timely one, and I've got a quick, fun story about it as well. I've got K2's Squish the Fish, which the Buffalo Bills, they did it. They squished the fish. They took care of business last week and beat the Dolphins. What a fun beer from a Buffalo brewery, Squish the Fish. The fun story about this is that my beautiful, lovely wife bought this for herself because she loves sours. She likes to have a good sour. And she remembered liking this. It came out before. She gave it a 4.25 on Untapped. Well, she just cracked this with dinner tonight, and she took a sip out of it, and she literally made the worst face I've ever seen her make when she drank a beer. And she's just like, why did I buy this? I'm like, you gave it a 4.25. I don't know. I don't know if maybe she was a couple of beers deep the first time she tasted it last year or whenever it came out, or if it's just a different beer. But it is it's a bit of a kettle sour. It almost looks like it would be like a really fruity, thick sour, but it's got that kick at the end. It's bitter. It's sour. It's got a kick.
Taste can change post baby too. By the way, just saying that is a factor that
no,
has affected Lauren.
I can tell that she wouldn't have given this beer a 4.25 for sure. It's got that kettle sour stuff that she really doesn't like. But that's
interesting. But that's also a 4.25 on Courtney's scale is pretty high.
It's really high, really high.
Like that's saying something for sure.
Yeah, she's throwing out like 2.75s left and right.
Dude, she is my inspiration for bringing my average down. Like, let me tell you,
yeah,
everything can't be great, you know. For me, first repeat beer on the show, but nothing too crazy, nothing too fancy. I was at Big Ditch yesterday. It's the Big Ditch Hay Burner. That's what I'm going with.
Fresh from the source, though. It's a different beer when you buy it right from them.
Or the filler.
That's also true.
Does it make sense? Yeah, it's when it's the beer it's supposed to be. It's legitimately great. It's one of my favorite IPAs. I would say, again, from the source, it's very consistent.
It is so often not, because it's so heavily distributed.
It's so popular.
I know.
That's the problem.
It's in, like, you find it at 7-Eleven, and it's just like it's been sitting there for a month, and it's been, you know, in a hot cooler where, you know, it's just not.
A hot cooler, yes.
Well, you know.
The glass I have, cheers, buddy. I got the Western New York Beer Trail.
Nice.
I've got a few of those passes this year. I've got some nice Christmas gifts there, so I can't wait to hit the trail a little bit.
Oh, that's fun. I always see people pulling those things out. I gotta talk to you about that. See what that's all about.
Dude, you say often that there are Josiah Leroy-esque games or Josiah-esque games, right? Like that describes a game that I should play that I would love, like Planet of Lana, for example. That is just a John Fick-ass thing. It really is. Like, that is made for you, man. We'll talk about it off air. It's a beautiful thing.
Awesome. Good to know.
Show and tell, my friends. We don't rehearse this, folks. People make fun of us. Rashawn made fun of us last episode of Bitches Sticks for having the same coasters. He's like, "Oh, did you go get them together?" I can't help it that we just both have impeccable taste and are both good looking. It is what it is. John, I'll let you go first. What's your show and tell here for the week?
Show and tell is a new device I've gotten. I've gotten a bunch of new devices since the last time we've recorded a proper Busy Sticks. I had a child in between the last time we recorded, and that's basically why we stopped recording, because I had to figure out how to raise a human, my first baby. But something that has helped me is handheld gaming. It is a lot easier to chip away at games when you've got handhelds. And man, Sony gave us an awesome little handheld with the PlayStation Portal. I love this thing so much. As somebody who has been a big proponent of all things handheld, and like ever since I've been into games, I've just been fascinated with being able to play games in places and times that I shouldn't be able to, right? Being able to sneak in game time when it's not the normal time to do so. So I've always been obsessed with handhelds. You walk around this room, I've got PlayStation Vitas and Nintendo 3DSs. Like, I've got a drawer full of Game Boys. Like, I love handhelds. The PlayStation Vita is one of my favorite of all time. So with that, remote play is something I use all the time too. Remote play to my iPad and my MacBook, and that's always been a decent experience. Pretty good experience on some devices. My hope was with the Portal, it would be like the best of the best. Because PlayStation Remote Play is pretty dang good, but I get some drop frames, I get some weird audio stuff when I do it with my Steam Deck or on my laptop. So I'm like, all right, they're making a dedicated device for this. I have a use case for remote play. Not everybody does. This isn't for everybody. I have a use case. If this is the best way to do remote play, I'm so in. And I gotta tell you, it's the best way to do remote play. I have not dropped a frame. Other than maybe the first time I paired this thing to my PlayStation, there was like an initial like once. Now I play this thing. Sure, there's a minuscule amount of latency that you can notice if you're playing like a Twitch shooter or something like that. Like it's a little bit there latency wise, but the quality of the stream feels like you're playing natively. There's no artifacting in the video. There's no choppiness. There's no drop frames. Like, if you have a stable network, this thing is a dream. A dream.
John, you should bookmark that for a clip to go to TikTok. Like, that was a really, really good build up of why you should have a Portal. I'm with you on all of that. I gotta say, so I got it day one, and immediately I was like, this is my NHL machine. I finally have my dedicated handheld NHL. It's never been on Switch, Steam, anything like that. And it was a little choppy that night. NHL's a fast game. It was a little bit tough. My internet, I think, is pretty good overall. It can be spotty. It's how it goes in my house. So played that, had an okay experience. I really wanted to dive into Astro. I wanted that to be my second experience on it. I love Astro's Playroom so much. I hope we get another one of those. But anyway, that was a wonderful thing. And then I came back to it probably a month later. I had this horrible like lapse in video game time around Thanksgiving, getting into December. I needed to finish Spider-Man 2, and I needed to platinum this thing. Well, I needed to platinum it. I had finished the story already. And I wanted to beat JT to it. So my way to do that was to play on the PS Portal, or the PSP as I like to call it now. And it was wonderful. I had almost no issues whatsoever with it. I could be on the other side of my house and it was fine. It was almost like that month since it dropped that it actually got better. I've played a lot of Alan Wake 2 on it. I am in a situation where I'm trying to 100% it before I finish the actual campaign. And this has been the best way to do it. I've got 2 young kids. I can't be playing some of those games in front of them, not just yet. Or on the flip side, they've got the TV and I don't want to take that away from them. So this has been my answer to it. It's worth the money. It's not cheap. Go if you can find one, go get your hands on one.
We're going to talk about the Portal for a second. We're doing a segment here because I'm very passionate about this thing. First of all, we get it. The Portal's not for everybody. It's not Sony's next handheld. You probably shouldn't buy this thing thinking that you're going to be able to take it to the coffee shop and have a flawless experience and be able to take it to your buddy's house. And it does work like that. You certainly can use it off your network, but you might get some drops. This is really for the people who want to play their PlayStation 5 in another room in their house. And to go off that, your home internet speed really doesn't matter that much. It's about your network. It's about your router. So you're on your home network. It's just routing to your router to the portal. So as long as your router is a solid router and you've got like decent speeds, you don't need fiber for this thing to work. You literally just need like 15 down, 15 up. And as long as you actually have good hardware, this thing's going to work flawlessly. I'm a part of a bunch of portal communities. There's so much troubleshooting. There's so many people who have like, well, I've got gigabit fiber, but I'm using a router from 10 years ago and the portal sucks for me. That's a big thing. You mentioned Spider-Man. Spider-Man's the showcase game for this thing. Because I mentioned there's a little bit of latency, but like way less latency than I've ever experienced with remote play. Way less. I can hop into a match of Fortnite and I can get used to the latency and actually get a couple of kills. That's never been the case with any other remote play experience. The latency has been too much. I would only play single player games and things that don't require like a Twitch response because the latency it was too much. With the portal, a game like Spider-Man, which isn't quite Call of Duty when it comes to like Twitch levels, but it's so fast moving. Like if you want to fluently swing through New York and hit your R2, L2, you know, when you jump at a point and you burst off of it, you want to get that timing right. You can do that on the portal with no problem. You can swing around corners in New York with no problem. It feels so good. So that's the showcase for like, that shows you like, all right, that's the level of latency that you can get away with and still be playing games at a high level. Like, you know, get the full experience. Can't believe how beautiful the display is. You mentioned Alan Wake. I played most of Alan Wake 2 on this thing. I just got it, and like that's the game I was playing. And it's just more convenient. I'll be sitting in my office doing something, and it's more convenient for me to just unlock the portal, connect to the PS5, and play for 15 minutes than it would be for me to go down, sit in front of the TV, boot up PS5, play. It's just handheld is such a unique and different experience.
So John, Cynthia really messed you up then. Playing this thing.
100%, dude.
Oh my god.
100%. Yeah, we go ahead.
That's horrible. No. I agree with everything you said there. I think it's a beautiful picture. It's not an OLED screen, but it's still fine.
Beautiful.
I think the DualSense is the greatest controller of all time. I joke about it all the time that I have a million DualSenses. I have all the original, I think 8 colors because I wanted the collection. I have the Spider-Man controller. I have the God of War one. Silly, but I love those. Boy, it's so good. And to have that in my hands with a really nice size screen, by the way, that's
8 inches.
I'm never lacking there. It's exactly the right size to basically be a handheld. I think people were concerned over how it was going to feel, how the weight would be, if the screen might just not be right. I can assure you all of it is right. All of it.
Dude.
The thumbsticks feel a little bit smaller. This thing is a tad smaller here, but it
doesn't translate.
Territory.
It doesn't translate to gameplay.
Works.
Like, yes, objectively they're slightly smaller, but they're not less deep. They don't have less depth, so the travel's the same. That's the biggest
Correct.
thing. You got me on a tangent because like people always bring up like, oh, I can do the same thing with my phone. I can buy a backbone for $100. Like, why would I pay $200 for a portal when I can buy a backbone for $100? Dude,
it's not the same.
It's not even close. It's in it like. You can talk about the haptics and all the DualSense features all you want because that's incredible. It's so cool to have like that one-for-one experience. But the analog sticks and the button size being like a full, true controller experience. And like the back, I've played the backbone. It's really cool. It's an awesome little device. It just doesn't compare to the experience. This legitimately feels like I'm sitting in front of my PS5 getting an authentic experience in a handheld format. The backbone, every time I've ever used it, feels like, all right, what compromises am I okay with just to get a little bit of gaming in? I'm not going to play a shooter. The thumbsticks are so bad. They're Switch sticks. They're the Nintendo Switch. Look at the depth on the Nintendo Switch thumbstick. Look at how small that is. And then look at this bad boy. Look at how much depth and how much girth you get on that thumbstick. It goes such a long way for controlling an actual AAA game, something more than a puzzle game.
Yes,
it's a special device.
The haptic feed is incredible. Like there are certain moments in Spider-Man and some of your side content where you have to pull your left and right trigger or L2 and R2 just halfway, right? That's really, really good. That feels strong. That's why I wanted to play Astro at this. Like that is the showcase game for the DualSense. Put it on this and play this now. go back to your Switch after you play this, and it's hard. It's almost a joke. All due respect to the Nintendo Switch, by the way.
Love the Switch. And it's then, just specific stuff,
Yes, and we all know about drift and what those Joy-Cons look like, but the Steam Deck, it's heavy, right? Like this feels like this hit the sweet spot. I don't get tired playing with it. John, I've had longer gaming sessions on this than I have either my Steam Deck or my Switch.
100%.
I can't believe it. I look up and I've been playing for 3 hours.
You look at this thing and you think like, oh, that's not like it doesn't look like it's designed well to be a portable. And like, that's kind of true because it was designed more for comfort. It is literally just a DualSense split in half with a screen in the middle. That's it. But like, that's the most comfortable way to make a handheld. So sure, like it might be tough to stick this in a bag if you don't have a case and stuff like that. But those are sacrifices that they made because they knew what this was for. This was for people like us. This is for people who want to play their PS5 in a different room. This has literally never left my house. Hasn't left my house once yet. Once. And that, I don't know if that's ever going to happen. I never even bought a case for this. I haven't even like had the urge to go look for a case because like it just sits here. I play it in my office. I play it in my bed, and like it's so worth it for just that.
I think I totally agree with all that. I think if I'm thinking about drawbacks here, which are not crazy, what's it called on the
audio?
The bar
touchpad.
On the controller, that
touchpad.
The touchpad is really, really bad with some games. Like Alan Wake is a nightmare.
It was frustrating.
The game's a nightmare. But
did you figure out the trick?
That was horrible. No, I've read it and it worked sometimes, but like.
So what I do is
where you touch both.
So I hold down on one and then I double tap the right one, which is again we're not excusing it for being an issue. Like it's annoying that this is an issue. But yeah, for Alan Wake, if I hold down on the left side of the screen and double tap the right side, it opens the map. It opens the Mind Place instantly, and then I just walk to the map if I have to.
The only thing, yeah, for sure. That like beggars can't be choosers at that point.
Yeah, once you get there, it's like I'm in.
There was a different cheat online where it basically was like hit them at the same time, and then when they're both on screen, your left and right, you can hit the left or the right, and it would be fine. That was spotty. So literally, sometimes I'm just doing this, like
just hoping really for it, just waiting for it to eventually pop.
It's brutal.
It is.
So that's a small nitpick. Some games it's not really so relevant, but like in Spider-Man and Alan Wake, I'm opening the map a lot and I need it. Spider-Man wasn't as much of an issue.
No, I feel like some games do it better. I just wonder if it's like if it's some kind of like support thing. Like they don't support the on-screen. Maybe like because like when you touch it, the touchpad isn't up for a very long time. So maybe the game doesn't recognize the touchpad that quickly. It might be like a development thing.
Could be even early on here, a first party thing. Who knows?
Right.
But that's a nitpick. Audio. Audio's okay natively, but like plugging in is a different story.
For sure. It 100%. It sucks that this thing does not support Bluetooth. Like there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. That's a crappy decision by Sony to not have just a regular Bluetooth chip and let me connect whatever headphones I want to it. If you want to connect headphones to this, you have to buy the new Sony, whatever heck they're called, whatever
so expensive. Dude, by the way,
it's like it's $299 for the over-the-ear ones and like $349 for the earbuds. Yes. Like Sony's going with this proprietary audio connection and they're trying to spin it to be some kind of whatever. It's frustrating. Now there's workarounds. First of all, it has a 3.5 millimeter headphone jack. You can plug headphones into this, no problem. That works.
Like this, you can plug in. This is the Pulse 3D. This is the launch PlayStation 5 headset.
You have the cable.
I'm frustrated that this doesn't just sync up. Yes, you can do the cable right to it though.
But here's the other workaround that for most people who are playing at home like we are, you can just use that while it's paired to your PS5. Yeah. So like if you have a wireless headset paired to your PS5, you can just turn that on. And as long as you're at home, obviously, this won't work on the go. But if you're just playing in a different room, you can just have your headset paired to your PS5, turn the portal on, and you're going to get the audio, no problem. So like, the headset that I use with my PS5 works fine because I'm using this thing at home. So like, I don't have an issue with it, but it's not to excuse Sony because like that's a money grab move for sure. That's the whole like, we want to sell more of this headset. We want to get people in our ecosystem. There's no reason not to include Bluetooth. The one drawback that I will concede is like, not great about this thing. But is it that big of a deal? Make your own decisions. If that's huge for you, pass on it, whatever. But like for me, that doesn't even move the needle.
No, I'm with you there. Even though audio and what that presentation looks like or sounds like, I should say, is a big deal.
My one issue
with it.
My one issue with the built-in audio. Going to sound crazy. It doesn't get quiet enough. The last the small, like the lowest volume of this is too loud.
The scale.
Yeah.
The scale is wrong.
Literally the lowest volume this thing can go is too loud. I'll be like, Courtney and Jack will be in bed napping, and I'll pull this thing out and I'll have it on mute. I'm like, you know what, let's go to 1. Let's go to level 1. And I'm like, oh crap, nope, not level 1. They're gonna wake up. So like, yeah, that's my one nitpick about the actual audio, is like, it doesn't get quiet enough.
Some louder moments or scare moments, I would say, happened in Alan Wake 2, and I was on 1. Daisy sitting next to me. I'm like, no, you can't see this. It's fine.
Yeah, it's funny.
But that's it. That's all I've got for complaints. This thing is really, really strong. I think it's funny, as there always is, right? People come for number 1. People get upset about this. They're like, who's this for? What is this thing? You
can't find one.
I think people they know better. They know that this is not a Switch competitor. It's not what this is at all. It's not a Steam Deck competitor.
It's not the next Vita. It's not PlayStation's next portable. It's a PlayStation 5 accessory.
Don't you think people know that and still complain about it anyway?
It's crazy. It's crazy. Like the amount of people that
don't buy it.
The amount of people that talk about this as if this means the PlayStation 6 isn't coming for another 10 years. It's like, why do they waste their time with that? Because so like your perspective is
this is a bonus.
So like your perspective is it's not for you, so it shouldn't exist. Like think about that for a second. It's not for you, so it shouldn't exist. Reflect on that for a moment before you hop in the comments.
Dude, it happens a lot, and it's really silly to me. That is the best way. I always say it: vote with your wallet. Sony doesn't have to make a dime on this. It's fine. It's bonus cash for them.
It's so low risk. It is literally just a screen with 2 like controllers on each side. Like it's so low risk. They don't have to worry about developing games for this thing. It is literally just an accessory. If it flopped, it flopped, and guess what? It didn't, because you can't find one of these things. They're $350 on eBay right now. Like that's the lowest you can find one for. They're like, you go on Twitter and you follow any of those like, you know, hot drops or hot stocks things. Like everyone is looking for a portal. Like GameStop employees, they hate this thing because they're getting calls all day. Like, do you guys have portals in? When are you gonna get them? Like this is the hot item of probably the next year.
Now, John, I'll say this. I was excited about this in the lead up to the launch. I think I'm going to get it. If I don't like it, I'm going to return it kind of thing. But I was always favorable as long as it executed, because I love the idea of it. It did execute better than I anticipated, but I didn't ever anticipate that this would be sold out in January when this came out November 15th.
For sure. When everyone had their rebuttals against how it's going to be, you know, it's pointless, it's going to flop. I conceded like, yeah, it's probably going to flop. You're probably right. It's probably not going to sell well, but I'm still excited for it. It's made for me. So I'm happy I'm going to get it. I'm very happy that it's sold out and that people are realizing that like, there's a use case for this. I'm sorry it's not for you, the person who's like a 22-year-old single person who has unlimited access to the TV with no kids. I'm sorry it's not for you, but like it's for a lot of people.
Do you know what's funny, John? Again, agreed with all of that. But shortly here, we're going to get into what's in our system and what our most anticipated games of 2024
This is a great topic. We're passionate about the portal. It's okay. That's what the show is.
Love the PSP, man. I'm going to keep calling it that, by the way. So my favorite memories of this early on, it's only been out close to 2 months now. It's January 11th. I had a week off before Christmas, and we were setting up one of the trees over in like the apartment area. We got this in-law suite downstairs, and Daisy fell asleep on the chair. We had just kind of set up a new layout in the living room there with the TV. I wanted to watch a Christmas movie, but I really, really wanted to play Spider-Man. So what did I do? I threw Christmas Vacation on the TV. Daisy fell asleep in the chair. And I started plugging away at Spider-Man and going towards my my platinum chip away. And I stayed up really late. I stayed up till like 2:30 in the morning just doing that. And you know, I had a Kringle juice. I had this sitting there, and I was just having a grand old time. And I had full access to any TV I wanted to in the house. Everyone else was asleep but me, but I still did that. And guess what? I did it again the next night because I enjoyed it so much.
That's how much I like the PSP here. Something so special and intimate about handheld gaming. It's part of my passion. It's that cozied up. This is just me and my thing. anything can be going on in the world around me, but I'm not looking at it. I got my experience. I'm right here. There's something, and again, I'm not knocking playing games on a TV. Obviously, that's where I play 99.9% of my games, and that's where you get your best experience. Like, I'm not saying don't play games on a TV, but there's something about that where you've like, this is gonna sound way too dramatic, but there's something like vulnerable about that. Like I'm a part of this room. I'm playing this game on this TV in this room. There's just something about handhelds that's just so personal and so special. So special, and that's going to be a lot for people, but like that's how I feel.
I'm with you, man. You've been a huge proponent of the Nintendo Switch and what that looks like, and handheld gaming before that. One of the biggest Vita guys I've ever known in my life. So it makes this device is for you. I would argue whether you had access to your TV or not, whether you had a child in the last year or not. So I it's just people who are drawn back on it, like I don't give a shit to be honest. But if you're going to give it a second chance, you're the one that's missing out. I think so. I would give this a two thumbs up, man. This is a strong device. I hope it spurs on more things like it in the future. Like, hey, Xbox, give me my version of that. That would be pretty sick. It's just it's really, really good, man. And the DualSense, again, it's another way to celebrate another variation of this controller in my house.
Is,
like,
yeah.
My gosh.
And at the end of the day, that's what it is. It is just a controller with a screen. It's an accessory. It costs $10 more, $10 less than the DualSense Edge did at launch or something, right? Wasn't it $189 or $179? Yes. It was expensive, right? So this is $10 more than just a controller. So like, yeah, calm down. It's amazing.
Everyone calm down for sure. You'll get your hands on it next year when they finally get in stock. It's okay.
Maybe.
Just maybe. So normally we talk about the Geekiverse Fantasy Draft. That concluded with some high drama in 2023. It was the four of us. So it was me, John, Tim Talbot, and Mr. John Torado himself. However, we're not going to talk about that. We're going to save it. Monday night, we're recording an episode. We're going to go over that, but we're going to also draft for the coming year. Plus, if that wasn't chaotic enough, Mr. Rashawn Anderson and Derek Kramer are going to join the crew. John, what do you got to say?
Here's the teaser. It is unreal how down to the wire a year-long fantasy game came down to. Like, we'll go through what happened, who won, and the stakes, and like week by week towards the end of 2023. It's like they can make a Netflix special on the drama that ensued because of this fantasy draft. And I'm not even talking about all the arguments that happened. That, like, we tested some friendships with this fantasy draft for sure.
Dude, this got ugly.
It got ugly.
Think about your closest fantasy football league, or maybe John and I play fantasy hockey. That's really tight. I've never been in any fantasy league that was like this. And what a year again we picked to do this. But the mistakes that were made, hey, if I did this instead of this, hey, if John didn't bet all his dollars on this game and I got this, like were like, we could write a season of Marvel's What If on this, and it could be 50 episodes long.
For sure. It's the scale. It's the fact that it's a year long and it's like so drawn out, and the fact that after we all picked 12 video games and it's a course of a year, so that sounds like nothing. It still came down to the last literal weeks of 2023 to figure out who would win. And there was some words that were said about game eligibility and games getting canceled. Like, oh my God, it's dramatic. So yeah, we're doing
Tim's doing research. John's talking to the people who run the website. Yeah, like, it's crazy.
We've got people literally DMing the people who are making a game to figure out whether or not it's coming out. Like, it gets crazy. We're doing our draft for 2024 next week, and we're going to talk all about what happened in 2023, crown our winner, and spill all the tea.
So the funny thing is the drama and intrigue surrounding this past year. There's a few reasons for it, but like one is that there were so many absolute heavy hitters. What is going to be the twist, I think, for 2024, in addition to getting our two buddies and Rashawn and Derek there, and the experience of knowing what we now know, the four of us from this past year, is that 2024 is largely a blank calendar. We think we know a bunch of releases. We know some early ones in Q1, but past that, oh my gosh.
No idea.
I've never seen a calendar so blank when it comes to video game releases. Man. So
we learned a lifetime of lessons with 2023 season.
It's going to be wild. Tune in. That's this coming Monday night. I just
circle on the calendar. Can't wait. That's going to be a blast.
Talk about it. And then our biggest episode ever. 6 of us out there. Oh my gosh, it's going to be crazy.
We did that. I think we did 6 before. The year before last, we did me, you. I think it was everybody but JT. Maybe, so it must have been 5. So it was.
I think we did 5.
Yeah. So it was the same crew plus. Same crew minus JT. So it must have been 5. You're right.
It's gonna be wild. But hey, before we get into 2024 here, we'll just real quick, John, what's been in your system? What have you been playing here to kind of get into the new year?
Man, that's I've been really committing to the backlog. So 2023 comes to an end. It's one of the biggest gaming years ever. One of my most active games years when it comes to like staying up to date with AAA games. Like we joke like how frequent is it that we can actually put together a top 10 list these years. We had like 15 games we could have put on those lists. So I committed to, after that crazy year, to really focusing on the backlog. And that's what I've been doing for the most part. So my priority with the backlog is Final Fantasy VII Remake, because I want to get to that before Rebirth comes out. I played about 8 hours of it when it first came out, and I liked it. I enjoyed it. Something else came out, pulled me away from it. So that's number 1. I restarted that. Number 2 is Sea of Stars. It just came out last year, but it's my number 1 like regret of not playing last year. That's the game I'm like, all right, it's still recent enough. It's number 2 in my backlog order. And then I've got Red Dead Redemption 2 and Cyberpunk 2077. One game that's like critically acclaimed with Red Dead, one of the best narratives of all time, right up my alley. I need to play that game. And then Cyberpunk, a game that is, having a No Man's Sky level of redemption when it comes to like, this game is what it was supposed to be, and it's polished and it's good, and it's like a phenomenal game now. So that's my list. My current commitment is Final Fantasy VII Remake. I am maybe 12 hours in, something like that. I'm having a blast. I'm playing a ton on the Portal. It's a great game for the Portal because there's like some turn-based elements to it. It's not too crazy. It looks great. Plays great in the Portal. So yeah, that's my big. Oh, the last thing I said, sort of sticking to my backlog. I did buy Call of Duty. I did buy Modern Warfare 3. It's one of those guilty pleasures. I haven't bought a Call of Duty in like 2 or 3 years. So like, I understand why if you bought Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 and you see what this package of Modern Warfare 3 is, you're like, this is just DLC. Why would you charge $70 for this? First, I didn't buy Modern Warfare 2, and second of all, I got this on a pretty good sale. I bought it for like $40 on the Christmas sale, the holiday sale. So for me, $40 for hopping into the newest Call of Duty with all the old maps that I love, because it's just Modern Warfare 2 and 3, like the original Modern Warfare 2 and 3 maps remade, and that's all you play. So I've been having a good time with that. That's been a fun pick up and play.
I love all of that. Cyberpunk, I'm so happy to see that turnaround. It's funny, we're talking about the PlayStation Portal and just remote play in general. I've never been a big remote player. I don't know if I just haven't had the right devices, the right games, right connection. I've just never found it great. And one game that I played the most, by the way, on a tablet with an Xbox controller was Cyberpunk. I played a solid 10 to 12 hours of that game, which is not huge, I know, for that game, but that's more than a lot of people I know who were like, yeah, this game sucks. I'm going to wait till it finds its footing, next gen, all that good stuff. I enjoyed that. That is a game I can see going back to.
Yeah.
I just found Keanu in the game. So that's if anyone's played the game, that's where I'm at context wise.
Yeah, I was a little before that. I also bought the game when it first came out. It's funny, both 3 games in my backlog, 3 of the 4 I bought for $60 or $70 when they first came out. Put a couple hours into, realized like that I liked them, I had a good time with them, and then just fell off. Final Fantasy VII, Red Dead 2, and Cyberpunk. Same story. I bought all of those games on release day, so that's why they're so high up in my backlog list, because they're, first of all, things I want to get to, but they're just, they're so critically acclaimed.
And Red Dead Redemption 2 is an anomaly to me. I was so anticipating that game. I played probably 30 hours and fell off, and quickly.
Wow.
And not to speak of the quality of the game, by the way, but my theory in thinking about it is that was 2018. So even though they're not immediately on top of this release, because I think that was October, but there was God of War, there was Spider-Man, there was a lot going on that year. That was a stacked year. despite the amount of time that I sunk into it, granted, I also had a 2-month-old when this came out, so I think that might have been part of it. But yeah, Red Dead I never went back to. I'm not sure that I will, but I love that universe still, and I love what Rockstar's done with that. So
yeah, my goal is to kind of just mainline path it, because like you and I talk about this all the time. We're not the biggest open world fans. A game like Spider-Man is like the perfect kind of open world for me. Give me fun bite-sized stuff to chip away at. Give me a fun world to be in, like New York City. Red Dead, that's too much for me. Like having my campsite and being able to do this and that, and like there's just so much you can invest in that you can spend. You can play. You can have a game within a game when it comes to like really living in that open world. I'm not interested in that. I really want to experience the story, which is, from what I hear, one of the best narratives in games. So that's why I think I owe it to that game to give it another shot.
I think you're right on that, John, and that'll be a nice precursor to finish that before GTA 6 in a few years' time here.
Yeah.
So good stuff there. For me, what's in my system, it's one game really and one game only right now. That is Alan Wake 2, my game of the year for 2023. Funny enough, I haven't finished the main campaign here. I have been chipping away at all of the extra content. I got a glimpse at what the Platinum Trophy kind of path was, and this was the best way to do it. I've created multiple saves just in case that goes sideways, but I'm at the point of no return on Saga Anderson and pretty close on Alan's line as well. So I'm having a good time. Like, I'm going through, there's not a ton of pressure for getting scared right now for me. I will say this, man, that's the scariest game I've ever played in my life. And I played all the Resident Evil remakes and a lot of other things. That's the scariest one.
It is. I think I might agree with that. I think there's some high points in Resident Evil games that like definitely make me question, but they do such a good job with pacing where it's like you just don't you forget how scary of a game it can be because the narrative is so good and like the story is so interesting. The non-horror parts of the story are so interesting. They're just like, oh yeah, I'm playing this like narrative AAA game, and then you like get to a point and you realize like, oh, it's also a horror game. So like that definitely leans into why it might be one of the scariest games of all time, because like you just forget how scary it can be.
Yeah, you nailed it. And when I texted you that, I kept running into Cynthia in the nursing home, which was the worst. Dude, I can't even play the game up here. Like, I have to take the PlayStation downstairs into the living room, and that's where I have to play this game. I get too stressed. I'm like holding my breath at times. I'm playing the game kind of like looking up, just barely from my controller. I've never experienced anything in any game like this where something horrible flashes on screen for a second and goes away. That's brilliant. I hate it. It's scary. It's loud. All of it is, it's painful. It's really good, but it's painful. Like I'm so stressed with the game. I texted JT the other day and I was like, I'm back to you not, I don't believe that you should play this game.
I agree.
It's too scary.
It is too scary. Like at points, it's terrifying.
It's absolutely terrifying. But Alan Wake 2, so happy to see that game is getting its due. That franchise is getting its due 13 years.
That studio is getting its due.
That studio, damn straight. Remedy.
Oh, Remedy.
Sam Lake. Oh my gosh.
So fun.
Show me the champion of light, All right. Most anticipated games 2024. Let's get into it. We're going to do the format kind of how we do our game of the year and our prior most anticipated games discussions. We'll go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We're going to go back and forth. If a game should appear as number 5, let's say on John's list, and it's number 3 on mine, that's when we'll both talk about it, so we save a little bit of time here. But on that note, we want to hear yours. So give us your list when these get released on Facebook, Twitter, etc., in various posts. We want to hear in the community what you were looking most forward to this year, what you think is coming out, because most of my list is consisting of things that I think will be coming out and not necessarily confirmed. So, John, why don't you go first? What do you have at number 5? And I will go through my list and say I have maybe 1 or 2 honorable mentions also. Okay.
Interesting, because I think most of my games I'm pretty confident are this year. I guess maybe not 100%, but I'm gonna start off with one. This was tough. This, like we talked about it. This is a empty calendar of release year when it comes to like really big heavy hitters. A lot of remakes, to be honest. A lot of big remakes coming out this year, and that's gonna kick off my list. Paper Mario and the Thousand Year Door. I've been hearing about Paper Mario and this being the definitive game for so long. So to hear this game getting a remake, coming to the Switch, like, yeah, I'm so in on this. I want to experience my first Paper Mario game. I didn't play the one that came to the Switch, the new one. Just didn't grab me, but there's something about the one that people talk about so covetedly that I'm like, yeah, I think that's the one for me. That's my 5 spot. I want to experience Paper Mario.
I love that. I own the Origami King, but I've never played it. It's on my massive backlog. For me, number 5, a Nintendo game as well, and something that's not going to be on most people's lists. I alluded to it last week, but Princess Peach Showtime. I love the idea of this game. It looks silly. It looks fun. Princess Peach is the star of her own game, which is super cool after all these decades. I know my daughter's going to love this game, but going through it, you basically go through all these crazy scenarios, almost like it's in a musical or a play. That game comes out in March. Check out the trailer for that. That might be a kind of under the radar game, but again, it is the Mario universe, so to speak. And I think that game is going to be received well. It's a little bit unique for what Nintendo has done, especially during the Switch.
It's cool. I'm glad they're doing stuff like this. Fun fact: it's actually Princess Peach's second titular game. He had a DS game as well, and it is one of the most expensive DS games that you can try to find. I'm a part of like a bunch of different like Facebook groups and like subreddits when it comes to game collecting. Dude, that game goes for hundreds of dollars. I forget what it's called, but like the Princess Peach game for the DS is like impossible to find.
That's super interesting. I don't have a lot to say about this game past what I've already said. I think it just looks fun. It looks charming, and probably a nice final full year for Switch releases, as I will predict.
I hope so. I'm ready for a Switch 2 for sure. I'm ready for a Switch successor.
I think we all are.
I just got terrified, Joe. I will tell you that I'm looking at the final product of our conversation. So your shot is cropped in my view. That's what I see. I see your cropped view. I just looked over to my left because my cat is scratching the door, and I caught a glimpse of your Discord view, which is your full view, and I thought there was someone leaning next to you, ready to scare you, but it's just your Kylo Ren mask that I didn't. Yeah. I wasn't aware of it in the shot because I wasn't looking at it. I got so scared for a second. It's
painful.
Speaking of being so scared.
Oh wait, man, I'm telling you.
Speaking of being so scared for a second, I'm ready to be so scared for the second Silent Hill game. That's on number 4 on my list. Silent Hill 2 remake. Like I said, lots of remakes coming out this year, lots of big ones. We talk about how much we both enjoyed Resident Evil 4 remake, Dead Space remake, my first time playing both of those games, your first time playing RE4, another horror classic getting a huge remake right now. Like what a time for us, who haven't really played, we didn't play these games back then. What a time for gamers to catch up on these modern remakes of horror classics. So Silent Hill 2 remake for sure on my list. That's my number 4.
I legitimately forgot about that game. It's not on my list. It would be 3 or 4. So but when we redo this, or if we put this on social media, that would be on there. Yeah, Silent Hill 2. I love that they're diving into that one. That's the most critically acclaimed. That's the one that people say you should play. I'd say people look at it almost like you look at Resident Evil 4 back in the day when that came out. Perfect
to have like those 2 games come out back-to-back years where it's like those are the 2 like horror classics people talk about. RE2 is in that conversation as well, but that just got remade as well. So like what a time to eat for us.
It is, and we just had the greatest horror game of all time come out in Alan Wake 2. So my gosh, crazy times.
Words.
Yeah, so my list is going to be a little bit slighted. Let's just. I'm not going to redo it right now, but that would be 3 or 4. Just for my own conscience. But number 4, I'm going to go with the Machine Games Indiana Jones title. I don't care about Indiana Jones. I really don't. But you know what I do love? Uncharted.
Yes, baby.
I'm hoping. Yes. I'm hoping that Machine pulls some of that. This is original story. This, it's going to be based off of the universe that we know is Indiana Jones. But I can't wait to see what they do with it. Xbox exclusive, we believe?
I think so. I don't know if that's confirmed, but I imagine so.
That's been the story out there. I don't know if that, like you said, if that's confirmed, but Machine Games, very well known for their work their amazing work on the Wolfenstein franchise. They put out 3 quality games there over the course of the last generation. I'm a huge fan of those, and I would love to see if they take their story telling ability and their just ability overall with gameplay mechanics and shooter mechanics, how it will translate to a more Nathan Drake like adventure game. You know, the Uncharted inspired by Indiana Jones. Now I'd love to see it give back a little bit. And you know, you could always throw Tomb Raider in that mix, obviously, too. But yeah, we're gonna find out about this, I think, a week from tonight, with the 18th, the Xbox showcase. So yeah, that's my number 4.
Transitions perfectly. It's my number 3. So
Awesome.
I'm right there with you, man. I'm so excited for the video game world to get an Indiana Jones game when we've gotten, you know, the Uncharted version of we've gotten the video game version of Indiana Jones, which is Uncharted. Excited for that to come full circle. Excited to see Machine Games do it. I'm so curious. Like, they've really done only first person stuff. Is this going to be a third person action game? There's no saying they can't, you know, switch it up and, you know, do a new genre, a new style. But like, this could be an interesting first person game too. Like, I could see how the Machine Games style of gameplay could work when it comes to like almost like a Mirror's Edge like kind of game where
yes.
you're if it's in first person where you're catapulting over stuff and you've got your lasso. That could be like a huge thing. I could see that being like they can really dive into the mechanics of what makes Indiana Jones the traversal, and like that could be really special in first person. But it also could be, I would probably bet it will be third person. That's kind of like that'd be cool if they kept it there. But I'd probably bet it's going to be more of a third person action adventure game like we see with a lot of the PlayStation exclusives, of course, like Uncharted. Yeah, I mean, what's not to be excited for there? I mean, it's full support of Lucasfilms. It's going to be awesome.
And what a project since Xbox, you know, purchased Bethesda and all that. And nothing is gonna ever be 2016 E3 PlayStation conference, right? All those rumored projects came to life. They came together. We got God of War, we got Spider-Man, we got Crash Bandicoot, we got Death Stranding. It was unreal.
Deep dive at Horizon, which was just about to come out.
Horizon, oh my gosh! Like, there's games I'm forgetting about.
I think Spider-Man was in there too. Spider-Man got revealed there too.
Spider-Man was in there. There was so much there.
Last Guardian.
I don't want to. Oh my gosh! Yes, I don't want to put this expectation on this Xbox debrief next week. But if I can get some semblance of this, and where I'm going with it is, we know of tons of Xbox projects, first party now, that have been in development or underway for a few years, and we haven't seen much on them. Maybe we finally get the roadmap. Maybe we get gameplay. Maybe we get release dates for a lot of these. Again, I can't emphasize this enough. I'm not saying this is 2016 Sony, but if I can get something like that, this could be a big year for Xbox, and I'm rooting for it big time.
That's where I'm at. When I saw that they were doing this developer _ direct, and I saw the 4 games they're going to talk about. They're talking about Avowed. They're talking about Hellblade: Senua's Saga 2. They're talking about Indiana Jones, and a 4th game that I'm not familiar with and I don't remember. I've never even heard of it. But it almost doesn't matter because those 3 games alone, the thought that those could all come out this year, what a year for Xbox it would be. Like, they would own the year. It would be the first time in so long that Xbox runs away with the year. And that's exciting to think about, because we thought how many years in a row we talked about, like, I want an excuse to play my Series X. Oh, I'm glad I got to play my Series X for just this one game this year, right? Like, Xbox obviously has a very different strategy. They're doing a lot more. They're huge into publishing now that they own Activision and Bethesda, so they're going to be showing up everywhere. Tons of news stories this week alone about like Sea of Thieves and Hi-Fi Rush possibly coming to different platforms. So like, they're playing their own game, which is great. They're doing awesome. But it would be pretty cool to see them own the year when it comes to like publishing exclusive or even just first party games. Even if they're not exclusive, it doesn't matter. The fact that they all have that Xbox logo on them would be a huge win.
I agree. That's what I want so badly this year for Team Green. I love my PlayStation. I love my Nintendo, but man, Xbox is a big part of my gaming heart. I want that to happen. I want to see the success there, the competition, if you will. If those 3 games hit, amazing. Hopefully they all do well. There'll be day one Game Pass games, which is also a nice bonus on top of that. We don't know totally what we're getting from PlayStation this year. We don't know much about Nintendo. We believe we're getting the Switch successor, which we assume means that we're going to get a big AAA title. Maybe that is a 3D Mario game. Fingers crossed. But I would love to see Xbox run away with the show. No doubt about it. All right, number 3 for me, a game that I've talked about ad nauseum. A game that is already critically planned before it's out. But hey, we were talking about this very thing in some way, shape, or form with Hogwarts last year, and that is my hope. So 3, this game could be a total dud, but it is from one of my favorite studios at Rocksteady. That's Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League. There's times a few days ago I watched some of the most recent. There's a developer's diary that's about 20 minutes that really sets the stage for what you're doing, who your characters are, what their story is to start. That all looks fun. It looks truly like a Rocksteady story taken in that Arkham verse, which is what it is. It's in the same universe as Batman Arkham City and that trilogy of games. I hope it hits. I would bet anything that the service model is dead in the water before we even get there. But my expectation for this, Josiah Leroy's expectation and focus, is a good single-player campaign that is fun, that tells an endearing story that Rocksteady can tell, that dives into the DC fandom like they know how to do. And that at the end of the day, I'm happy that this game was made because, like we talked about, it's been 9 years since the last title released, and that was Arkham Knight in 2015. So I'm only slightly optimistic for this, but man, we've been talking about this game. It's been on my anticipated list for at least 2 or 3 years now.
I'm hopeful for you.
I think we're safe.
Yeah. We made a bet last year, right? Like there was like a whole, like I was so confident that the game would come out there because
May 23rd.
Yeah.
That was the release date. And I said any other day. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. And I lost that bet, whatever it was, man. I think I owe you a pizza or something.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So hope that game's good. The voice cast is a lot of the carryover from those Arkham games and the character likenesses as well. I wouldn't be surprised if that ends up blowing up, but there's that small part of me that's rooting for it. Give me at least something like we got with 2020's Crystal Dynamics Avengers game, which I remember fondly because I didn't dive into all the open world BS with it. So, all right, John, what do we got here for number 2 for you?
Number 2 is a big one. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. So I talked about my backlog and how I'm committing to Final Fantasy VII, getting that remake done, playing through that. I'm having a blast with it. I found a new love for Final Fantasy this year with Final Fantasy 16. It was the first Final Fantasy game that I played beginning to end. I know it's a very, very different game and a very, very different formula from the mainline Final Fantasy games, especially from 7. Not turn-based at all, barely even an RPG. We talked all about that in our Game of the Year conversation. But I've always been a distant observer and admirer of the Final Fantasy games. I love the music. I love the art style. I love the idea that this is like this 16 game dynasty where there's just so much lore and there's so much to get involved in, and like 7 and people's favorites are just so highly acclaimed and loved. So I've just been dying to get into Final Fantasy. I've tried a couple of times and it's daunting. It's daunting for people who are, playing a couple of games every other month. It's tough to commit to an 80-hour JRPG when you got to pick and choose your time, right? But I'm excited to get into more Final Fantasy. I'm excited to be caught up by then and to really experience more of this story and this world and a remake of what people consider one of the best games of all time.
Yeah, I'm so with you there. I think we have a similar journey with a lot of games. Final Fantasy being one of them in that franchise. I played most of 16, enjoyed the heck out of it. I am gonna clean that up and finish that. I own 7 Remake, but I haven't taken the dive in yet. I will be doing that hopefully before Rebirth. I know I'm running out of time, but that's an honorable mention for me. That's on my list. I think that game is probably a slam dunk, seeing how well the last part of the remake series for Final Fantasy VII was given or received, I should say. So yeah, I think that's a can't miss.
Got to be the front runner for the number 1 pick for the fantasy draft. There's what else is there?
Totally agreed. Hellblade 2 for me. Senwa Saga. I love that first game. That game is outstanding. Yeah, 9 out of 10. Some may argue higher than that. Go play it. That's an Xbox Game Pass game. You can get it very cheap on most platforms now. The themes that game tackles, the artistry behind it, how they recorded some of the. There's like live action elements in it. They're not really live action though. You'll have to play it to see how they translate. But I watched behind the scenes on this game. Like, I don't often do that. And, like when you have a movie, you watch your Blu-ray and you go and watch developer commentaries, or you go see some of the behind the scenes, or even the in-studio audio work. I watched the motion capture stuff with this. I watched so much of it. The game itself deals with kind of the... I don't even know the term for it, to be honest with you. I should know this, but I played it 3 or 4 years ago. Think of having a voice inside your head. Play this game with a headset on. There's unreal whispers that go on that go from left to right. They're true stereo sound. They really put you on edge in a different way. We talked about Alan Wake being a scary game because of the jump scares. Think of like a game set in like the God of War universe with this amazing character named Senwa. And what she basically has to go through hell. And the combat's okay, but where it really gets you is the emotional gravity and the storytelling. And Hellblade is such an I don't know. It's an underrated gem to me. Go play it. It definitely got its critical acclaim, but it didn't get the commercial success that I had hoped it would. I was late to the game with it. I believe Hellblade 2 is finally coming this year. It has to. We've been talking about it. John drafted that game in like 2021. I want to say it. Oh my gosh! So it's been a long time now. But go play that game. You can play it in 10 hours or so. It's really, really special. And I think 2 is going to be awesome too.
That's an honorable mention for me. It made my list until it was on my list until I did a little bit more digging and found, I think Paper Mario knocked it off the list. And that's solely because I haven't played the first game yet. So once we get more information about the second one and we get maybe a release date, I'm gonna try to commit to playing that first game. Funny enough, it was a PlayStation exclusive when it first came out. PlayStation, that was, and it was a PS Plus game pretty quickly too. So that was like funny how like that was a PlayStation identity game, and now Xbox bought Ninja Theory. So cool for Xbox, great get for them because that game looks cool and it, like you said, it's critically acclaimed. So yeah, honorable mention for me only because I haven't played the first one yet, but I will try to get to it before the second one is out.
It's so funny. Like that game came out, I want to say like 2017, and it took some time to build some success and some momentum. And I have always associated it as an Xbox game, which is, like you said, it was a timed exclusive.
That's so funny because, like, I remember the critical acclaim when it first came out. In my head, it's Team Blue all the way. Again, even though Xbox owns the company that makes that that game,
sure.
I associate it with PlayStation because I remember it coming out on PlayStation. And I think it was a PS Plus game, like pretty quickly on.
It was, and I want to say Xbox bought Team Ninja like very close to when that released. Like
it was within 2 years. It wasn't like that close.
Sure.
Yeah. But yeah,
but still, like that's a like a highly touted release, like to have that happen.
For sure.
No doubt. Kind of amazing, but
love it.
Yeah. All right, John, what do we got at number 1 here? Most anticipated game for 2024, John Fick.
Most anticipated game, 2024. Not really even a question for me. It's Star Wars Outlaw. Star Wars Outlaw, baby.
Shocker! I have the same game on my list.
Got to imagine we have the same game on our list. Like, we don't know much about it, but it's a new AAA Star Wars game developed by Ubisoft. In everything we've gotten from Star Wars games, and we're basing that just off of one franchise, Jedi Survivor, Jedi Fallen Order. They've been so good. So the relationship with Lucasfilm Games has had with their developers is seemingly on track to be a positive one. Ubisoft has had their ups and downs. They make quality games no matter what, no matter how you paint it, they make quality games, right? So whether or not they're for you, whether or not they're a little bit redundant, the new Avatar game is basically just Far Cry in the Avatar world. So maybe that's not, maybe that's too redundant for you. I don't think that Lucasfilm and Lucasfilm Games would kind of let that happen. I don't think they would let that property fall into that Ubisoft monotony. Ubisoft has the talent, they have the skill. I don't think Lucasfilm was going to let the, you know, the special sauce slip on this one. I think we're going to get something really, really cool. We've only seen a little bit. We know you're a bounty hunter. You're not a Jedi. You're not a Skywalker. Lots of people want that, so you got that. But yeah, give me more huge AAA games in the Star Wars world. Give me open worlds. Give me fun little towns to explore and cantinas to go in and different vendors to associate with and like lore to have, and maybe a couple of cameos here and there. They don't have to be Skywalkers. I'm so excited for another AAA Star Wars game.
Dude, I love Kay Vess, and I've only watched, you know, what we've gotten so far. Star Wars Outlaws, man. Ubisoft, I've enjoyed many of their games over the years, and some of their really, really big franchises. I've enjoyed Assassin's Creed, varying degrees of Far Cry. I liked Watch Dogs to again a different degree.
Yeah.
This is a universe where if we get that, I would say a relatively bland story, you know, and a big open world, I'd be okay with that because it's Star Wars. I don't think, like you said, we're getting that. I think there's more of a collaboration here where there's more control than the average Ubisoft game.
For sure. We're already seeing stuff that's not, it doesn't fit a mold. Like we see a lot of molds with Ubisoft games, the Assassin's Creed, the towers, the you know, the Far Cry, the outpost hunting. Like we saw that trailer for the first Avatar, you know, first Avatar trailer, and we're like, oh, that's just Far Cry. We understood right away. Like this seems like it's a bigger effort. It's something more is going on here.
I'm really excited about it, which is a shocker, I know, to you listening, that Josiah Leroy would love a Star Wars game before it happens. But the Jedi games that we've gotten in the last few years have given me tons of optimism. They seem to be going in the right direction with Star Wars as a video game property in general. I think there's a lot of good stuff in the pipeline. We got Quantic Dreams game coming at some point, hopefully. It's probably dead in the water, but I'm never going to let this die. I hope we get that Knights of the Old Republic. Yes. That would be absolutely special. I think there's a lot of good stuff coming that we don't know about just yet. I think there's stuff in the works, but for this project, I can't wait. And very underrated quality. This game set between episodes 5 and 6. So that's Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. We don't have a lot of content, and especially in this canon, this Star Wars canon that is 11 years old now, by the way, with Disney and Marvel and Lucasfilm, where we get those stories. So this is going to fill in a nice little niche. It could be a one-off game. Again, Kay looks like a super interesting character to me. Like I want to run as her as a bounty hunter slash smuggler all day long. I think it looks really good, and I was really impressed with what we've seen from it from last summer. Like that was the perfect amount of it was a mix of gameplay and cinematics to really whet my appetite. I think that game's coming this year. We had what we thought was yeah, like this could be the one of the biggest AAA games come October holiday. We got a kind of a leak, you know, if not an error. A Disney blog had mentioned that this was going to be coming out this fall, and quickly Ubisoft had to get there and get that removed. So hopefully there's no delays with this, but you know, I'd imagine we'd find out more probably as we get closer to summer with this. That's where my stomach tells me we'll get more details. But
sure.
Yeah, Star Wars Outlaws, man. We're not going to get 2023 here, but that's fine. This is a nice epilogue, right?
For sure. Yeah, I mean, if there's any medium where Star Wars shines away from the Jedi, it's video games, right? Like you've got cool tech, you've got cool ships, you've got traversal with the speeders, you've got all this like untapped lore with different alien species. Like it's just like it's ripe for a game that doesn't have to have lightsabers in it, right? Like there's so much potential in the Star Wars universe. So I really hope they can take advantage of that and give us just something cool, give us something fun, and I don't know, just let me have a like we talk about how we don't love the open world RPGs when it's the right world. We certainly do. Like I just want to exist. I want to know these planets like the back of my hand, and I want to you know, be trading different currencies and all different sorts of materials and going on all sorts of side quests. I'm hoping this game really hits the way I want it to.
Like if there are open worlds that I'm gonna exist in and waste my time in, so to speak, it's gonna be Spider-Man and it's gonna be Star Wars. Those are the two that I don't care what it looks like. I just want to go and exist. Like, can you imagine going and playing Sabacc? Like, how fun would that be?
Yes.
Like, you go into a cantina like place, and maybe that's one of your side missions, is that you have to go win sabacc in like 5 different cantinas. Like,
and maybe you
that
can just
sounds fun.
You can just, you know, up your money there. You can, like, just like The Witcher. Was it Gwent in The Witcher? It was literally just a game developed for that game. Like, you can just go and, like, poker in Red Dead. You can just go into the saloon and just play poker as long as you want and win money that actually translates to your character. Like, dude, and get it with the PlayStation Portal. I'm just laying in bed playing sabacc all night. You kidding me? Kidding me,
dude? Sign me up immediately. I mean, like, I feel like that's a thing that'll happen in the game. Like, how about like a stupid hidden bronze trophy for going to one and having like a blue milk, right? Like,
yes, right.
All of that. Like, you could do a lot of stuff that you don't have to like worry about filling when you're Cal Kestis as a Jedi. Cal Kestis is one of my favorite Star Wars characters maybe ever. So I love those games, but like, I'm ready for this, and this journey is KVS. Like, seems ripe for the picking, man.
Yeah, the restraints are off when it comes to like a non-Jedi game, because it could literally be anything. You can do whatever you want. You don't have to you don't have to live within these constraints of like, yeah, you're a Jedi, you have to suppress that power if you're in this certain era, or, you know, like you don't have to worry about breaking the canon too much, because it's just a bounty hunter. Anything can happen. Whatever you want to do, you can do.
And Respawn had to play by some pretty rigorous rules to make that happen.
For sure.
Because that game, so Jedi Fallen Order, before it was Jedi Fallen Order, started basically a little bit more along these lines. It was more of the adventure game, or at least it was someone with a gun, let's say, or blaster. And they really, really wanted to tell a Jedi story. And they had to make Lucasfilm buy that. And man, the rest is history. I'm glad they did. But yeah, kind of interesting. You got more of a, not just open world in the game, but an open world when it comes to what you can and can't do. So
for sure.
Star Wars Outlaws, ladies and gentlemen, Geekiverse's most anticipated game of 2024. We'll throw up some cool stuff on social media, I'm sure, in the coming days on that. John, amazing episode here. Anything in our conversation that we need to talk about before we let this one die out?
No, I mean, there's plenty that we've missed and we haven't talked about since the last proper Busy Six. It's been quite a bit. We talk about what an incredible year 2023 was. Half of the games that we played and we are on our top 10 list we've played since we've had a proper episode. So I'm sure we're gonna have some more conversations reminiscing about that lost time as the weeks go on. But no, we feels good to be back. Feels good to be talking about what I'm excited for in 2024. Certainly not going to be 2023, but like, that's fine. I'm cool with that. I got a backlog to worry about. I got a son to worry about. I'm good.
I said it on air last week. I am kind of happy in a weird way that 2024 seems like it will be much quieter. Who knows? In 4 months time frame, that could all be blown to hell. We could have all these release dates. Probably not getting that. So I'm fine with this being a quiet year.
Yeah.
There's a list of games from Ghost of Tsushima on PS5. We're getting Last of Us Part 2 on PS5 in 9 or 8 days. There's God of War Ragnarok. There's a list of games I want to go and play.
You gotta play Valhalla, dude.
I gotta play that. I want to play Final Fantasy. I have a backlog of high quality games that I want to go and have fun with. I gotta play Gotham Knights with JT. You know, not so high quality game.
Dude, when I tell you that,
I'm looking forward to that.
For sure. Me too. Like, the fact that there's less games coming out is certainly not going to mean that I'm going to play less games. It means I'm probably going to play more because I already own half of the ones I want to play. I don't have to spend the money and make the commitment, you know? When I tell you that Valhalla almost made my top 10 game of the year list, like, real close. Real close. I wish I talked about that a little bit when it came to what you've been playing, but I'll say it.
I was just going to ask, can you elaborate on that? So massive God of War fan right here. I have not taken the dive into that yet. Can you just give a quick, hey, this is the 101 on it, and then you speak highly of it. What did you like so much about it? Like, give us your quick review on it.
I can't believe it's free, first of all. Like, this could easily be $30 DLC, at least $15 DLC. Like, it's insane. So it is an epilogue to God of War Ragnarok that is all about Kratos and him coping with his past. You go to Valhalla, which is, you know, the Valhalla of the stories. It's heaven, whatever you want it to be. It's Valhalla in the most abstract way, and it is in the form of a roguelite, which means that you enter Valhalla, you face challenges, you die, you come back. It's built into the story that you can only go so far the first couple of times, but once you get to a certain point, you can get to the end, and then you just have to get to the end yourself. But as you do it, there's like 4 or 5 like big story moments that will not let you go to the end because you get to a cutscene and it brings you back to the beginning, right? So like you get as far as you can, and it's basically like a checkpoint, and you get a cutscene, and it just dives into it's a therapy session for Kratos. It is Kratos dealing with his issues because he didn't really get to do that in 2018 or Ragnarok because it really was about Atreus and what that story was. So it's Kratos coping with his past in terms of the narrative, but the gameplay is, hey, you probably found one weapon of the 3 in Ragnarok that you really liked and stuck with it. Try them all, because when you go through these runs, we're going to give you chests, and we're going to cater this specific run to one specific weapon. We're going to give you all spear upgrades for this run. So try the spear out. And it really makes you appreciate the combat. The combat shines almost as much as the story does. Ragnarok Valhalla is so good. Might be like top 3 DLC of all time for me. Like, I would put that up there with BioShock Infinite's Burial at Sea. Like, I think is my gold standard. Cuphead, The Delicious Last Course, like right there with it. And then Valhalla it's must play content for somebody who rolled credits on Ragnarok. Must play content.
Dude, yeah, I know I'm gonna get to that and just adore it. I would say this iteration, so God of War 2018 plus Ragnarok, if you loop those together, like those are my top 5 all-time favorite franchises. I enjoy the previous God of War 3 and a little here and there, but like this is off the charts, next level gaming for me.
Valhalla has made me want to figure out a time and place to put the original God of War trilogy in my backlog and go back and play those games. I've never played any of them. I didn't hop into PlayStation properly until the PS4. I missed all the God of War games. Yeah, Valhalla was the first thing I played in my Portal. I played the almost every moment of it. I played like maybe an hour on my PlayStation 5, but I played almost all of it in the Portal, which was fun. Yeah, it must play content. Story is must play.
Super cool. John, maybe final thought here before we wrap up the episode. One more thing came to mind here. How you feeling going into next week with Last of Us Part 2 on PS5?
I'm so excited. I can't wait to play that game again. I've restarted The Last of Us Part 2 a couple of times, and I've never finished it for a second time. It's one of those things where it's a long game. It's one of my favorite games of all time. One of the most meaningful games I've ever played. But it's, when you replay a game, you're replaying a game, right? So like I'll get 13 hours into it and then something comes out, so I didn't finish it. So I'm excited to actually play it again all the way through for the first time since it launched. And I'm really excited that it's been probably over a year and a half since I've even played the game at all. So it's going to be, again, the fact that people are like upset about this existing is very similar to the Portal. It's like they literally are just porting the game. I know it's called remastered, but they're just it's just a PS5 port. Like, what are you so upset about? Like, they're not pushing back The Last of Us Part 3 by a year because they made this thing. They literally just freaking exported the PS5 version and published it. There's a new mode, which is also a roguelike, which is pretty cool because I had a lot of fun with the God of War Valhalla one, so I will for sure check out this new. I expect less story from it than the God of War one, but still going to be fun. But so pumped to go back to that game.
I am ready. This is the time. It's funny because I've been thinking about it. I'm like, I've been playing this highly stressful horror adventure game called Alan Wake 2. I need an emotional break. So, I'm going to play something very light and fluffy, and it's going to be Last of Us Part 2.
Perfect. Yeah. Perfect palate cleanser.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah. I can't wait. It's a very special game. I adored that when it came out in 2020. And yeah, it's going to be good to get back into it. Loved playing The Last of Us Part 1 remade on PS5 last year.
That's a very different one. Like that's a full-on remake. Like that's why like there's people confused, and I don't know what it is, but they're as angry about this as they are in the Portal. Like, why does this exist? I don't need this. It's such a it doesn't matter. Like, it's such a little effort, and it's gonna make the studio a bunch of money in the long term. Like, yeah.
This is the equivalent. So this new Last of Us Part 2, so to speak, this is the equivalent to when the original dropped on PS4 in 2014.
Exactly.
It's the same thing. There's not a lot of effort there. This is not what The Last of Us Part 1, Follow Me, was when they remade it for PS5.
Right.
Drastically different. Like
a different game.
Rebuilt from the ground up. I mean, largely the bones are the same, but like this is made for 2 generations later, by the way. It was 3 to 4 to 5.
Right.
So
Joe,
this is not that. So chill,
just chill. Do people who have movie podcasts have to deal with people who are upset about like when their favorite movie goes from DVD to Blu-ray? Do they get upset that do they get upset that why did the studio waste all their time and effort to put out I already have this? Like, what do you mean? It's the same thing that like, it blows my mind.
It right clicked and hit export. I know I'm simplifying that, but like, come on, it's basically what it is.
Seriously,
like
to think that more than a small team of people just worked on this for a little while. Like, relax.
It's polished. It's fine. Enjoy it. For goodness sake, it's $10 if you own the original disc.
And
what does that tell you?
If you're like me, $10. If you're like me and you have a digital PS5, you can just buy the disc version anyways, because there was a special edition Wolf version for $120 that I just had. I think it was $100 actually, that I just got charged for, and I can't even play it. You can do that too. Because it comes with all the cards, all the trading cards.
John is the master of buying games he can't play with special collector's editions.
It's just The Last of Us. It is just The Last of Us.
Zelda.
No, I can play it on my
Switch.
Oh
yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
I would have preferred
that doesn't
digital.
Make sense.
Yeah, no,
what does
I get
make
the train of thought.
You've bought numerous versions of it. So you own the game numerous times.
Which one?
That's not what I was saying. Zelda.
Do
you not own multiple Breath or Tears of the Kingdom?
Sort of. Yeah.
Okay. It's a loaded question.
So I do, but one's sealed. I have a sealed copy of it. I have 2 collector's editions. One is fully sealed. That is appreciating. But I get where you were going. I was wrong. I get where you were going with that.
There's no digital only Switch. But
no, but yes, I own. I have bought The Last of Us and The Last of Us Part 2 collectively. So original Last of Us, remastered for PS4, Part 2, Last of Us Part 1 digitally, The Last of Us Part 1. We're talking remake now, physically. The Last of Us Part 1 on Steam, and I bought The Last of Us Part 2 digitally again because I got a digital PS5 and sold my physical copy of it. Didn't sell it, sold my physical PS4. And then now The Last of Us Part 2 remaster. So I've purchased those 2 games 8 times. I'm sorry, 9 times.
See, that was my train of thought there.
9 times.
I'm not there at all. I do. So I got original Last of Us 2013. I do have the 2014 port to PS4. I'm going to stay on the Last of Us 1 train. I've got the PS5 remake from last year prior. I have just Last of Us Part 2, and then I'll be getting this one, but I'm only doing the $10 upgrade. So, okay, five times. That's a lot for me.
That's pretty impressive. Pretty impressive.
I don't know any Star Wars games that many times. Like, my gosh,
Last of Us is pretty good.
What can I say? John, funny side note here. It came up in conversation today how people take each other's ideas and believe that they're their own.
Yeah.
Do you recall when I took or I thought that I came up with the Jedi mind trick for Star Wars review?
I sure do. I do recall that. What a good time.
I'm just making sure. It scares me because I really thought I came up with it.
I know. That scared me too.
I wasn't trying to plagiarize, so to speak.
I know.
But I don't know what goes on up there sometimes.
That was what made the whole situation baffling. Because not only did I have that idea first, you engaged with it.
I built it up like I was presenting it.
I know.
And
you were so proud of it.
I was so proud of it. But I thought it was a dream, but it was an actual conversation that we had. So I digress. We're going to wrap up this episode of Busy Sticks. What a wonderful conversation. It felt good to be back again. John, any closing thoughts, anything to promote, new podcast feeds, etc., etc.?
Yes, that's a good one. So we have new podcast feeds. In the past, all of our podcasts, the MCU, Busy Sticks, whatever we're doing, all got dumped into one Geekiverse podcast feed. That is no longer. Every show has its own feed now. So Busy Sticks, it has its own home on any podcast service of your choice. Spotify, Apple, Pocket Cast, Overcast, whatever you use, search for Busy Sticks and you will see a brand new Busy Sticks feed. Every episode that we've ever done is there in order from when it was uploaded. And this one obviously will be up shortly. So they all have their own feed. MCU Reviewed, Busy Sticks. Those are the two that we're doing right now. So those are the only two that exist. But as we get back into some older shows, do some new shows, everything will have its own podcast feed. Cleaner, easier to search for, easier for you to manage your podcast. New episode of Busy Sticks pops up. It's Busy Sticks and not just a generic Geekiverse podcast.
I'd have to look. I could be wrong, but I believe this was the 41st episode of Busy Sticks. So if right. That is accurate, this would be the Stu Barnes episode, the Sabres GOAT. What are the captains there?
I think there's 39 in the feed because I didn't include two PlayStation Showcase or Xbox watch-alongs streams because those were those are pretty video heavy. So I did skip those when I uploaded them. So I think I think this is episode 40 that goes up.
Okay, so the Robin Leonard episode,
yeah, there you go,
is what this is.
Yep.
But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, John did most of the work here. He produces our content from especially behind the scenes thing. He's not just the face on the camera behind the mic. He does all of the video software for us. He does the podcast uploading. He does the thumbnail. He does social media. He is all over the place. He is, a huge part of the lifeblood of the Geekiverse. So kudos to John. Thank you for spending all the time that you do on there to make this so successful.
Thank you, man. I love it. That's the stuff. I mean, I love these conversations, but I do really enjoy the nitty gritty. I love the creative process of, figuring out how to make stuff work and learning new, thumbnail tricks and learning about podcasts, all that stuff. I just enjoy it.
It is fun. We're always learning on the fly. Yeah, I think, if I may say so, we're getting better creatively as time goes on and we do this more.
Just look at the way these shows look. We've come such a long way when it comes to production. Look at if you're interested, go watch our Game of the Year episode. It is the best thing that we've ever made.
100%.
Podcast wise.
That is because of John there. So make sure you give him a pat on the back for that next time you see him. For the Geekiverse, we've got a lot of really good stuff here as we start 2024 out with a bang. We've got our Game of the Year episode. You can check that out in the official Busy Sticks podcast feed. We recorded tonight. We've got possibly 2 Busy Sticks episodes coming next week. We know for sure on Monday, the 15th, we are drafting for the Video Game Fantasy League. It's going to be 6 of us. So it's myself, it's John Vick, John Torado, Tim Talbot, and our buddy Derek Kramer, along with the return of Rashawn Anderson, the Platinum King himself. We're going to be drafting some video games. We're going to be talking about the intrigue and drama that was 2023's league. Can't wait to let you all know about what happened there. If you are into Marvel, we got back to the MCU Reviewed. We kicked off season 2 of that show tonight with Spider-Man Far From Home and our discussion on that, where we rank every single MCU movie. Next week, or next time we record, I should say, we are talking about Black Widow. As much as John wants to skip that one, we're going to watch it. We're going to talk about it. We're going to analyze it.
I've only seen it once, so I'm excited. I actually am excited to watch it again.
I think it's fine. I think it's good. I don't. We're not going to get to the level that we had Far From Home at, obviously, but Black Widow, I think, was a nice kickoff for Phase 5, especially seeing what we got in the subsequent years. So, or Phase 4. We'll get there. Last plug for me. You could go check out. I did a drum video if you like. Music in general, but more specifically, Marvel and Guardians of the Galaxy. We mashed up 11 songs from Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2, the awesome volume or awesome mixes that James Gunn put out that are serving as the soundtracks for both of those movies. And I drummed to it to basically try to raise awareness for our charity event, Geeks Give Back, which happens every December to make money for Make-A-Wish. You can find that out or watch that exclusively at youtube.com/thegeekiverse. For all of our shows, you can catch them on YouTube. We stream everything live on Twitch. And of course, like John said, you can listen on podcast services around the globe, wherever you may download them. Can't wait to see you all next week for Busy Sticks. It's going to be an awesome rest of the week. We'll be playing some Last of Us a little over a week from now. But for John, I'm Josiah. Thanks for tuning in. Have an awesome, awesome night.